Alrighty. Just to recap a little bit from the ball game yesterday, very hard fought game. You turn on the tape and you realize the physicality of which that game was played by both teams, and that was SEC football at its finest on that front. Um, just to kind of echo some of the things I touched on yesterday, some of my initial thoughts, I think hold true today. Just some real missed opportunities, especially in the first half of that ball game. I think we had 260 first half yards to 61 for them. But naturally, we had 8 penalties in the first half. 8 of our 11 penalties were in the first half of that game, which again, some of those occurred as we were across the 50. That put us in some second long, third and long type scenarios that we just couldn't quite overcome. And you walk in the locker room with a 6-3 lead when you really felt like you were playing better football than that. And then to come out of the locker room at halftime, they make the change at quarterback, and we're trying to adjust on the fly in that first series of the second half of how to defend a different style of quarterback. And they put together a nice drive there to start the second half. I think they went like 10 plays for 75 yards or so for the touchdown. I thought we responded with a pretty good drive coming back out. We missed the field goal, and then it turned into the way the game went. You were just fighting to have an opportunity. And then the ending of the game to me, as I touched on yesterday, was really kind of you know a microcosm of how the game went. We drive down at the end of the ball game with plenty of time, with an opportunity to score a touchdown to potentially win it. We couldn't get in the end zone. We kick a field goal to go to overtime. We get in overtime. We don't score a touchdown. We have to kick a field goal, and then they scored. And so, there's a lot of other things to talk about, obviously, that could get addressed coming out of the game. But at the end of the day, we had some opportunities to extend that lead early. We had some opportunities to take leads late, and we just our inability to do that. I think ultimately cost us the ball game.
And Coach, you want to just start off with a few comments on going into the CFP and the
Yeah,
seating today?
yeah, I'd love to, love to. I think this is an exciting time for college football. The 12-team playoff is definitely that we all know is a new format, but I think it's an exciting format, and I think we're all kind of going through it together of what this looks like. But the fact that we're the 5 seed and we get to play a 12 seed in a team like a team like Clemson, a team who's been a perennial college football playoff team. I think Coach Swinney's done a fantastic job at Clemson. You don't win 2 national titles over a 17-year period, multiple appearances in the CFP, numerous ACC conference championships. So they've got a championship program. And the fact that we've never played them, that Texas has never played Clemson in football, the first time will be in the inaugural 12-team college football playoff right here at DKR, I think is very exciting. And you look at some of the other matchups that are going to take place and what the, kind of what the brackets could look like down the road. I think it's an exciting time for college football. And so we're fortunate that, we've earned the right to be in the playoffs. And looking forward to the opportunity to compete with Clemson and in the CFP in general.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate that. We'll go ahead and start with Cedric Golden.
Hey Steve, how well do you know Dabo, and what are the philosophies that he's used to be successful that you admire?
Yeah, I know Dabo pretty well. We go way back. We originally met at a high school basketball game in Alabama when we were both assistants. I was an assistant at USC, and he was actually an assistant at that time at Clemson. And yeah, it seems like an eternity ago. But he's done a great job. I think that he modernized a lot of the coaching philosophies that a lot of us use today. The old school model of coaching was, basically coach out of fear. Yeah, I think Dabo's been one of the guys that changed that philosophy early on, and he created an environment there and a culture there at Clemson was one that was, in my opinion, full of love and support, and it's okay to have fun. And he's got a slide in the middle of their in the middle of their facility, and he's got, I think it was a different approach. And I think part of that is both of us, really believe and are good friends with John Gordon. For any of those that are familiar with him, author who does a lot of culture building, motivational speaking, and things. And so I do admire what he's done and how he's built that culture at Clemson, and it's withstood the test of time. You're not at one place for 17 years without doing some things right. And it's not only what they're doing off the field; it's what they've been doing on the field. And so, again, just definitely kind of admire him for a lot of the things that he does there.
Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Steve, you had just arrived at Texas, I think, right before the Quinn Cade state championship game. What did you know about Cade, and how much have you watched him over the last couple of years as he's developed at Clemson?
Yeah, big fan of Cade. We recruited him hard. Obviously, local kid. I thought, really possesses a great deal of competitive spirit. And you could see that when he was at high school at Westlake. He's a winner. He's going to do what it takes. He'll throw it, he'll run it, he'll block. I mean, that guy will do whatever it takes to try to put his team in position to be successful. That was obviously a heck of a team with Michael Taff and a lot of really good players on that team. So, when he made the decision to go to Clemson, honestly, I was surprised. Both his parents went to A&M, and thought we were the hometown team, and he had always had a dream of going to Clemson. And for him, I think what a cool story of getting into the college football playoff, and the first round game is right here in Austin, back home for him. So a lot of really cool storylines to this ball game, and that's definitely one of them.
Eric, go ahead.
Steve, I know it's early. I know this matchup's only been announced for about an hour and change, but just curious your recollection of facing Dabo in 2016 when, of course, you called the national championship game. I guess that'd be the 2017 national title game, but that matchup. And also, if part of the game plan or part of the preparation will be looking at their matchups against SEC teams in Georgia and South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean it was a long time ago. That was Deshaun Watson was the trigger man, and Brent Venables was calling defense for Clemson. So, a lot of different faces. What I remember is that they fought till the end. We had scored late in that game, and they got the ball and converted a few fourth downs and scored, right there at the end of the ball game. So, I know they'll be ready to play. We got to look at a lot of stuff. We're gonna have to assess their season, and see what there's some opponents there that kind of play like us and formationally and different things, and find areas where they do things really well and why they're successful there, and maybe try to find some cracks, of where they're not quite so good. And so, yeah, that's looking at SEC opponents, that's looking at ACC opponents, that's looking at everybody.
Go ahead, Anwar.
Coach, I was just curious, like, what's the mood like about 12 hours later, around the facility after that, as you guys try to move forward, and how will you kind of outline the next 2 weeks as far as a preparation standpoint?
I think our guys are really excited. We were all together here, watching the selection show, and I think when our name first popped up with the 5 seed, everybody was excited about that. And then when it came back around and we were going to be playing Clemson, I think the guys were excited about that. They started screaming, "It's the Makuba Bowl." Obviously, for Andrew Makuba, who's been at Clemson some time and transferred here. But again, that's one of the storylines. There's many in this game. But what we're going to do with these guys is we're really going to we didn't do anything physical with them today. We'll do no football with them on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. We really want to get them a chance to kind of recharge their batteries, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. This was a long month. This 5-game stretch was a lot on them, not only physically, but mentally. We played 2 of our rivals on the road. We played in an SEC championship game. It was really physical football this last month. So we're going to try to get as healthy as we can, like I said, mentally and physically. We'll get back to work with the players on Thursday, for a couple days there, give another day or 2 off, and then we'll get back into our normal work week next week. But as a staff, our preparation is underway, and we'll spend the next few days as a staff putting together a game plan in all 3 phases, and then start implementing that on Thursday.
Hey, Steve, is there an Isaiah Bond update? And also, is there anything you can lean on experience-wise from last year's playoff appearance, or is that just too different since it's 14 as opposed to 12?
Um, IB, he's getting an MRI on that ankle. I think pretty clear. Everybody saw him get rolled up. I don't have anything further on that from a severity standpoint. As far as the kind of correlation, I think that the difference is, last year there was so much time off. It would be as if we had a bye in this year's playoff. And so in some aspects, man, you really want that bye because you want that extended time, you want that rest. But in the same notion, I felt like that hurt us a little bit last year where we did have the layoff, and we weren't quite as sharp as we could have been there against Washington. So I kind of like that it's almost like a bye week this week, and then we get to go play next week. And then it kind of goes under that same cycle of days leading up to the national championship. But the good thing is for us, I don't think the moment's going to be too big for our guys. We've been in some really big games now over the last 2 years, and I think our guys are comfortable in that environment. And clearly, you want to play your best football, and I think we can, and we need to play better than we played yesterday. But I don't think the moment will be too big for us, which I think is a good thing.
Steve, I'll go next. Also on the injury front, what did you think of Kelvin? How close was he to playing yesterday? And do you expect him to be ready in a couple of weeks?
I don't know yet. He wasn't ready to play. I don't know. We'll see.
Along those lines, though, can you talk about Trevor and how you think that he did and what the whole O-line did?
Yeah, I think Trevor's going to be a good player for us. There was moments yesterday where he felt like a redshirt freshman, playing against Georgia in Mercedes-Benz, in a road game. And there was moments when he did some really good things, And so I think as a whole, as an offensive line, I wish we could have played with a little bit more consistency, not only in the run game, but also in pass protection. But I felt that way in general about the offense, I actually thought the guy who probably had one of the best games on offense was Quinn. He stood in there and we didn't block some things very well, took some hits. He made plays outside the pocket. I thought he was really accurate with the ball. We had a season high of drops in a game yesterday, which was uncharacteristic for us. And so we've got to play together better collectively. The run game's got to go better against these elite defensive fronts. We got to make our plays in the passing game when opportunities present themselves. And so, but all of that, whatever we want to do, it all starts up front. So we got to push that group to another level as we get into the CFP, knowing that these all the opponents we'll be playing are quality opponents.
Joe, go ahead.
Sark, I know this school has never faced Clemson, but you all did face Garrett Riley a few years ago when he was at TCU. What are some of the things that his offenses are really good at doing?
Yeah, very creative offensive mind. Spread you and then utilize the run game because you're spread out, and they do a really nice job in the run game. With the counterplay, with the guard tackle counterplay, they utilize the quarterback's legs in the run game, which we all know Cade is a very adequate runner, and then they take advantage of the one-on-one opportunities, getting you spread out on the field, and so. Very creative. What you see one week is probably not what you're going to get the next week. And so you've got a lot of offense that you have to prepare for. And, with 2 weeks to prepare, I'm sure we'll get all of it. And maybe we'll get some things that we saw a couple years ago when we played them.
Chip, go ahead.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned Andrew Makuba. Could you just talk about his impact this year? What stands out most about him in terms of his performance on the field, and also the significance of signing Justice Terry?
Yeah, so Andrew Makuba is a guy that, and we are so glad and happy he decided to come home. He's a veteran player, obviously, and what I learned very quickly, he's an excellent practice player. He's got tremendous practice habits, the speed in which he practices, the tempo, the physicality, but yet having the understanding of not going to the ground when we're not in tackle periods, but yet still putting himself in really good position, striking people. He's a really good communicator, and then he plays with confidence back there. And I think he, Michael Taft, Jade, they all feed off of one another. But you see his experience even in some of the biggest moments that we're playing in right now. He's making plays at critical juncture and critical moments in these games. So been a great addition to our team, not only on the field but in that locker room. With his veteran presence. Justice Terry's a great signee for us. Obviously, as we and y'all are now seeing, the impact that defensive linemen have in the Southeastern Conference is critical. I talk about big humans. I think most people always assume I'm talking about offensive linemen, but I'm talking about defensive linemen as well. I thought we signed a really nice defensive line class with Sharma, Charles, and then obviously our edge players coming in. So this is, it was a nice ending to the early signing period for us. I think, made us feel really good about this as a balanced class, but yet we address some real needs. And obviously in our conference, it starts up front, most notably the defensive front.
Sam, you're up.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned the different schedule with the playoff. Obviously, you get a week off and then game week. How do you feel about where your team is from a health standpoint, from an energy standpoint? I know you guys worked hard to manage that with the potentially longer season. Kind of where do you feel you guys are right with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd all want to be healthier than we are, right? We're not 100%, and then but I don't know who is in December. This is just the nature of the beast right now. But I sure would like to get healthier this week. I sure would like to get some guys closer to 100% than where they were over the last few weeks. And I think mentally, it was an emotional month. We had to kind of go back into Arkansas, kind of the scene of the crime from year one. I know that was a lot on our players' plates. We had senior day, which that's always a lot on your veteran players on senior day. Then we had going to A&M and going back to Kyle Field after a 13-year hiatus and all the emotions that went into that ball game, when that was like, and then to turn around and go back this week to play Georgia again in Atlanta for an SEC championship game and go all the way into overtime and all that was. And so we need to recharge. We need to, refresh our batteries. Our guys need a few days, and they need a few days to get themselves back physically, but also I think mentally. And not that we're in great spirits. And I think guys are all excited about the opportunity that we have in front of us. But they need a little bit of a break, because it's been 1 week after the next of high stress, high level stuff that's going on. And so we need to give them a chance to step away for a minute. And then, so when they come back, they're really wired in and focused with the right intent and the right sense of urgency needed to go compete here next Saturday against Clemson.
Roger, go ahead.
Sark, you mentioned Quinn yesterday. How big was that for him and confidence because of the way things went the first game against Georgia, for him to bounce back and make plays out of the pocket and just do it in a variety of ways from the quarterback spot?
Super gutsy performance from Quinn. He's not 100%, but he battled and he competed. And like I said, there weren't a whole lot of just clean pockets. They do a great job of making it muddy for the quarterback. I thought he did a much better job of stepping up in the pocket, delivering throws under duress into tight windows, getting outside the pocket, making plays that way. So all in all, I was pleased with that. I sure wish for him we could have found a way to dial something up to get somebody really open for him there when we got down there late. Just couldn't get that done. So like I said, I was really proud of him, and I know he feels good about having the ability to move around a little bit. He hasn't been able to here for quite some time.
Hey, Coach, we don't have any other questions, but to wrap it up, you want to just talk maybe about playing that playoff game at home in a couple of weeks here?
I mean, what is that? To me, this is one of the bonuses of playing in the first round, but yet having a home game. So we get another opportunity at DKR. School's just going to be wrapping up. Looking forward to a great environment. Like I said yesterday, I appreciate all of Longhorn Nation and their support in Atlanta yesterday. But we're going to need 105,000 strong a week from Saturday, 3 o'clock against Clemson, inaugural college football playoff game, and in round one. And that's the beauty of this new format, that you get a home game. And so looking forward to seeing everybody there as we build towards it, and appreciate all that they do in supporting us. So welcome.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.